everyone. So the tool today I am going to take up is 5W2H method, right. So this would be the second tool of my series Six Sigma tools. So talking about 5W2H method, so first thing I would like to tell you that it's not a very complicated or a technical tool, its application is rather simple. So you can say it's a common form of root cause analysis. So when I am going to approach this tool, my approach would be that I would break the explanation of this tool in three parts. In the first part, I would be talking about the description of this tool, what are the associated tools, what are the benefits of this tool, who developed this tool, and what are the fields where it can be used. And in the second part of this explanation, I would be just taking up the application of this tool, and I would do that using a case study. And in third part, I am just going to discuss the common mistakes which teams make, or rather they should avoid making those mistakes so that this tool does not turn into a complicated mess and which would not lead you anywhere, right. So whatever your purpose would be, it won't be helpful if you just complicate the things up. So coming to the first part, that is the description of this tool. So as I have already told you, it's an idea generating tool and a problem solving tool. So it's also known as 5 Whys and 2H and a why tree. So now why this is also known as a why tree would become clear in the third part. So this is a structured idea generating tool where specific set of questions are asked regarding the problem in hand. So the team just takes their problem in hand, they just take the statement, opportunity statement or the problem statement, and then they start asking the questions and they try to go beneath the layers of the problem to find out what is the actual root cause of the problem, so that they can remove it, right. So this tool is nothing but, if you just need to say that this is, so this would be 5 Why is just what, why, when, who and where, and then how and how much. Right. So what we can see is that this kind of this tool just gives us a 3D analysis of the problem we have in hand, right. So you know that what is the problem, that what is the pain, where is the pain, who are the people associated, the cost associated or the frequency of its occurrence. So all these answers we get using this one simple tool. So this method was developed by Sakuchi Toyoda, one of the father of the Japanese industrial revolution. So he was an industrialist and an inventor, right. So this tool was initially developed for Toyota, and this technique was developed and used in Toyota manufacturing methodologies and is essential item of training in problem solving and in the and is a part of the Toyota production system training, right. So if we just see that the 5 Whys actually make the cause of the problem clear, so that the corrective and the preventive actions can be taken. So that once you know that okay, this is the root cause, so basically you try to drill down to find out that what is the actual root cause, and then you can remove it or you can take the preventive measures. So this tool is used in problem solving, in troubleshooting, in quality improvements, and it is used in lean manufacturing, so that you can just find out where the waste in the process is and you can remove it. You can use in Six Sigma's analyze phase, and you can use in project management. So wherever you need to know that what actually is the problem, you need to get more information about the problem, you need to find out the root cause of the problem, you can use this tool. Now let us just try to go into a bit detail and try to find out that what are the questions which are asked and what kind of information can be collected, right. So the first one is the first 5W is what. Here we try to look at the activity part of the problem, right. So then that is what is the problem, what is being done maybe to resolve the problem. So basically what we are trying to find out is what is the activity which is going on, and then comes the why. So here we try to accumulate the information about the purpose, right. So why there is a problem, why there is a pain, all these information or all these answers are tried to be just obtained using this why. And then we move to where. Now this where brings in the place factor, right. So where is the process being performed? Is it essential to perform the process at that particular place only, or it can be centralized or decentralized? So, all this information is gained in this step. And then comes the who. Now, this who brings in the people factor, that is who are the people who are involved in this process, who are the part of this team, or if we have to make a new project, then who are the people who should be the part of this team. So, all these answers that are people related are just figured out in this who part of this process. And then coming to when. So, now this brings in the time factor when we talk about when. So, we try to figure out that what was the time, such as when did we first encounter the problem, when we need to activate a project, or when we need to complete any project or not. And then comes how. Now, this how is the method part of this 5W2H method, such as how it is being done, is this the best method. So, all this information is collected in this part. And then comes how much. So, this how much brings in the cost or a frequency factor. So, basically by how much we mean that what is the cost, such as how much does it cost, or how often, that is a frequency, how often do we encounter this problem. So, what you can see is that, as I have already told you, that this simple method, asking questions, can give you a lot of information about a problem in hand, about an opportunity in hand. So, you can gain lots of information using this method. Now, let us quickly go through the typical application of this tool plus the associated tools, so that we can move towards the application part. Right. So, typically this tool is applied to examine and question a process or product for the purpose of gaining ideas. Now, as I have already told you that in 5W2H method, what we do is that we just ask about various questions about various factors, people, time, method, etc. and etc. So, when we just ask so many questions, so we obviously we would gain lot of new information, lot of new ideas. To identify potential problems, that is what kind of problems can be there in the process, or what are the problems in the process, or if you have to start a new process. So, this tool is very helpful. To identify opportunity breakthroughs, assist team in generating new ideas, to discover overlooked issues or causes, to select and define a problem or an opportunity, to identify and analyze causes of potential change, and to develop and plan possible solutions or implement change, right. So, these are the various possible applications of this method, that is 5W2H. And now I am just moving on to associated tools. So, basically in this section I just tell you that what are the other tools which are associated to the main tool we are discussing. So, basically I just tell you that what are the tools which are used before this tool, and then which are the tools which are used after this tool, right. So, in this portion of associated tools I have just written all those tools which are used before this method, 5W2H method. And this portion will discuss about tools where we are just going to with the tools which we just use after we have used our 5W2H method, right. So, here the tools which are used before this 5W2H method are problem specification, Pareto chart, opportunity analysis and brainstorming. And after we have used 5W2H, then the tools which we can use are problem analysis, that is whatever we have found out that what is the problem, whatever the root cause of the problem, then we can go for analysis of that problem. Countermeasure matrix, that is what are the other matrix we can need to find out, or what are the countermeasures need to be taken to just avoid this issue. And the workflow analysis. So, these are the associated tools which are commonly used in combination with 5W2H method. Now, if I have to tell you about the benefits of this tool, so basically the first one which comes to my mind is that it is a very simple tool. It is not complicated, it is technical. So, now why this is a benefit? Because anybody can use this tool, even a normal businessman who does not know all this, who does not want to just study great details about Six Sigma can use this tool, and even other teams who are not that qualified to just carry on the projects, but in their day-to-day activities they can use this tool. And plus this tool really helps us to execute the project or to execute the process in a very objective way, right, because you find out the various issues associated to the problem, and this gives you a more objective viewpoint towards your process, and then you try to find out the root causes and try to eliminate those. Now moving on to the application of this method. So basically this 5W2H method is an introductory method of finding out the errors or the reasons of non-conformance, right, so that we know that why our products are not meeting their standards or what are the root causes that why this issue is just cropping up. So the basic goal is to find out the just go beyond the layers of the problem and to find out the actual or the latent causes of the problem. Though this tool was used initially by Toyota and in the automobile industry, but now its application is really widespread. So you can find its use in manufacturing sector, service sector, so it's almost used everywhere. And another thing I would like to tell you is that the name though suggests it's 5W2H method, but there is no restriction of how many questions you need to answer. You can ask as many questions as you want till you reach the actual root cause of your problems, right, because this is the goal of this using this tool. So you can just use lesser than 5 questions or more than 5 questions, so that's not at all a restriction. Right. So the team responds to a series of questions when we have to just talk about its application. So what the team does is they respond to various questions such as what, why, where, who, when, how and how much, and we've already discussed that what kind of questions or what kind of information team tries to collect through these questions, and then there is no special questioning technique is required, right. So basically this tool doesn't require that only these specific set of questions can be asked. No, once you just try to implement this tool, the team sits, they try to analyze their process, they try to analyze the problem in hand, and on basis of this they ask the questions and then they answer those questions, and on basis of those questions they ask another set of questions, right. So there is no limit on how deep you have to proceed, because as I've already told you that your goal is to find out the root cause. So there is no limit how many questions you have to use or how few questions you have to use, because you ultimately want to find out that what are the reasons of the error. Right. So coming to the application, so what you can do is that you can use this format as I have used on this board, and you can basically divide this column in 2 parts, and then in one section you are just going to write all the questions you need to ask, and in the second section you are going to write down the responses, right. So this is like a technique where few people or the team sits down and they keep on asking they keep on questioning and writing down the answers, and then they just move on to another question, right. So here my first question which the team needs to answer is what is the problem. So when you ask what is the problem, try to be very specific, try to just give the try to just ask the question in one sentence, and make sure that everybody in your team understands what the problem is, and then proceed to the why part, that why is it a problem. So the team would answer that why it's a problem because they have that problem in hand, or they have that opportunities in their hand, and on the basis of that they are going to answer that why it is a problem, and then you have to write the answer for this problem has occurred because, you are just going to answer that. And then come to the third part, that is where do we encounter the problem. Now the space or the location part has just surfaced up. So you are going to write the answer, we encounter the problem, you give the location or the specific circumstances under which you encounter this problem. And then comes who is impacted, that is people who are impacted, whether it's your staff, it's your customers or your suppliers or providers, give this information here. And then we come to when do we first encounter this problem. So we need to answer that when it was figured out. So we first encountered the problem, you have to get the answer for this one. and then you have to come to how did we know there was a problem, right? So now we come to the how part, and we want to know that how do we know that this is a problem. So the symptoms of the problem are, you are going to mention all those symptoms so that you know that why this is a problem. And then how often do we encounter this problem, or the cost part is answered over here. So we encounter the problem x number of times, that is the frequency, or you can tell the time period, that what was the duration of the time, whether it has worsened or it has become better, or the cost associated. All this information is given in this block. So the basic objective of using this tool is to find out the root causes, and not only to find out the root causes, but also then you need to figure out what kind of corrective and preventive measures you can try to fix these root causes. Now that you have a basic understanding of the application of this method, so I am going to use a case study which will help you understand better of how we can use this 5W2H method to identify the non-conformity or the errors in a process, right. So this case study I have taken from the 9th International Quality Conference, and it is about identification of non-conforming products using 5W2H method, right. So using this case study will explain how various steps are taken to identify non-conformance in drinks packaging of a company which sells energy drinks, right. So here is some background information you need to understand, you need to know to understand this case study. So this is that this company is somewhere in Slovakia, and it manufactures or it makes energy drinks. So the product is packaged in 330 ml aluminum cans of the company's own design, and the can consists of two parts, the lid and the body of the can, and both parts are manufactured by separate processes on a high speed automated lines. But this company does not manufacture these cans themselves. For this purpose they have hired another company which does this job for them. The production takes place in a manufacturing plant of a Dutch supplier, and these cans, these manufactured cans, are then transported to a subcontracting organization, that means for the filling purposes, right. So this means the company in Slovakia, they have hired another party for making those cans, and for filling the cans they have hired another party which is in Poland, so which is responsible for filling these cans, right. And then these drinks are packaged by 24 pieces, are palletized, and one pallet contains 100 such packages. Their durability is set to 24 months. So each consignment is received at the warehouse of a main company is subject to an entry inspection. That is when these cans come to the warehouse of the main company which is in Slovakia, so they are subjected to an entry inspection. So this is a simple visual inspection of all pallets delivered and random inspection of several unpackaged pallets and cans. So what is done when they enter the warehouse, they just go on for a visual inspection of all the cans to check that if there are any visible damages or such things. So the purpose of this inspection is to reveal non-conformity. So what is done is a person or few people are responsible who just visually inspect all the cans or all the whatever is supplied by these companies before they store these cans in the warehouse, right. So this kind of inspection which would include all kind of damages. They would be looking for the damages which are caused due to transportation, and such as mechanical damage to the cans can be crushed, or any kind of other transport damages. And these transport damages are obviously being taken care by maybe the transport agency or their insurance. So when these cans are inspected, so what they do is that whatever inspection they have done, they take a photo proof of all the inspection, right. So if there are any damages, whatever the lot number is, they keep all these records along with a photo proof, and all these proofs are searchable. After the cans and the packages are visually inspected at the entry of the warehouse, and then photo proofs are taken and recorded, so these packages are stored in the the warehouse which is at the right temperature for the packaging or for the storage of these cans, and it has no direct sunlight and no humidity. But one thing you would acknowledge is that there is no such visual inspection which can just 100% assure you that all the non-conformities or errors have been addressed. You know, some things will go amiss, and there can be chances that some errors do crop up over time or due to certain changes or due to the way they are handled, right? And this is what happened in this case. So Slovak company revealed non-conformity sometime after receiving the consignment, and about 3 weeks from the receipt of consignments, damped or the wet packaging or cartons were noticed in the warehouse, and these were noticed by the employee who was handling these packages, and he immediately reported to the employees in charge. So these people now wanted to find out that what has caused this package to be what is the cause of all these damp packages. So they opted for this 5W2H method to handle this problem, right? So initially they wanted to figure out that what is the basic reason, what is happening, so what they can take some preventive measures. So this is what they did. So here again I have my questions, and these are the answers which the team gave, right? So to the first question, that is what is the problem, the answer they gave was the problem is wet cardboard and moisture discovered in individual packs or among the cans. So after that they answered their why, that why is it a problem. So it poses the problem because deteriorated products are no longer tradable, plus items with no visible damage are also not tradable because you do not know that what is the cause of this problem. So you cannot market any of these this stock now. So where do we encounter the problem? So this problem was encountered at the warehouse. Who is impacted? The complete company. You know, they are just now going to face losses because now their product is having problems and they cannot market their product. So obviously the company is being impacted. So when did we first encounter the problem? They gave the date. And how do we know there was a problem? So problem was discovered visually while handling the goods. And then how often do we encounter the problem? So for this the answer they gave was initially about 34 wet cardboard packs were detected, each containing 24 cans. So this was their initial method, this was their initial analysis to figure out that what is the severity of this problem, maybe what is causing this problem, and how now what actions they should immediately take to resolve it. So now you know how this team used this 5W2H method. So these were their questions and these were their responses. So basically here this team used this method as an introductory analysis. They did not reach the root causes obviously because they could not, because this process was carried out by many people. There were many suppliers which were involved who were just making the lids, the cans, they were filling the cans, right? So they could not just do it themselves, they need their collaboration. But here the purpose was to actually find out or to figure out that what was going wrong and what kind of preventive measures they can take to just prevent any kind of further damage. So on the basis of this 5W2H method they took certain actions, and these actions were the immediate actions the team took were separation and disposal of damp goods. Now this was very essential so that they can, if there is any kind of reaction going on in the atmosphere of the warehouse or something like that, they need to separate the defective goods from the good ones. And then temporary ban on the distribution of goods. Now this step was very, very essential because you know if the product is with the organization, yes there would be losses. If the defective product is within the warehouse or within the company and has not been marketed, there would be losses. That would be they would be ideally monetary losses. You know, you would just pump in more resources if you want to fix them, or it can be a scrap. But once your goods make way to the customer and it's in their hand, then the losses are not only monetary, but you have to face other losses as well, which sometimes cannot be fixed, right? So your goodwill of your organization is at stake, your customer loyalty is at stake. Plus, since it was an energy drink, and if the consumption of this drink, defective drink, could cause any kind of health problems to any individual or any customer, they could just get the legal action on the company. So these kind kind of damages had to be prevented, because otherwise the company's name was at stake, right? So they just put a temporary ban on the distribution and sale of all these energy drinks. And then the third step they took was regular check of the remaining goods in the stock, right? So this step they took so that they could find out that whether there was some variation in the temperature of the warehouse or the way they were handling, was it causing the problem? Because when the visual inspection was earlier done, only those goods were stored which were actually, they found them right? The problem started after some time. So they wanted to make sure that whether the conditions in the warehouse were appropriate or not, and then checking the state of good at the key customers. Now this step was also very essential, so that they need to check that batches which were prior to this batch, are they also defective, or they are also showing any such kind of problems, so that they can find out, they can reach out what is the actual problem lying beneath. And then they finally just took the last step, that is contacting the suppliers with a request for an urgent meeting with the technical staff and the quality department staff. Obviously their collaboration was essential to find out the root causes of this problem, that why this liquid is oozing out of the cans. So in this case study they went further on with their analysis to find out the root causes, and they used many other tools to find out what was actually going wrong. But since my tool in focus is 5W2H method, so I won't be taking up all those steps in detail. I am just going to give you a brief of what happened after that. So first thing they need to check was the aluminum sheets which were being used to make the can bodies, right? So it was very essential to check that whether they were of appropriate thickness, or the material was good enough, was it a mixture of some other elements which were leading to corrosion of the cans and oozing of the liquid. And then the second thing they checked was how the body of the cans were made, was it totally defect free, and how the lids are made and how they fit together, because if the lids are not fitting the body, obviously then also liquid will ooze out. But the chances of this happening is very less, because if there was any such kind of problem of lid not fixing the can, then the liquid would have oozed out earlier also, and then it would have shown up on the rims of the lid. This was not there, because all these cans which were stored were already visually inspected for any such kind of damages or the mechanical damages. And then the third thing they checked was the printing, how the printing is done on these cans. So we have already seen that there are the cans of the Pepsi or the Coke or any another energy drink, they have their nice labels printed on these cans. So they checked this process, and during the printing there are two kind of layerings, these are made on these cans. One is the internal coating. Now this prevents the liquid to coming in direct contact with the body of this can, so that if the liquid would come in direct contact with the body of the can, it will lead to corrosion and the oozing out of liquid. And then there is an external coating after the paint is done. So the external coating is done, and this external coating is also for the same purpose, so that it helps to make these cans corrosion free. But then they check the fourth process, that is how this mixture or this liquid is filled in the cans. So there they found out that this process was actually automated. There were conveyor belts which were used on which the cans were placed, and then these moved and the liquid filled in automatically. But when they checked these conveyor belts, they find out that 2 or 3 conveyor belts were really worn out, and due to since they were worn out, they just hit the cans in a way that it damaged the can's outer coating. So this led to actually the corrosion of the can and oozing out of the liquid. Since the damage was not very major, and the corrosion did not start immediately, but as the cans were, the liquid was filled and they were transported and they were stored at the warehouse. So this was happening, the process was actually happening, but it was not as fast, so that's why it showed up so late. So actually the thing they found out, the root cause of this problem was these conveyor belts which were later fixed on. So this is how we use all these methods to find out how we can reach to the root causes of the problem. So here, though they use this method, 5W2H method, just to find out and go for an introductory analysis, but in small processes where only one organization is handling or one department is handling, they can just actually figure out the root causes using just this simple method. Now that we are done with the description of the tool and the application of this tool, so I am going to move to the third part of this lecture, that is certain important facts which you should always remember when you are working with this method, that is 5W2H, because this method is considered very simple, it is not at all technical, and this is why teams make mistake. In case they do not take into notice these facts, then they can lead to mistakes, and what would happen is that whatever goal they have, if they want to reach to the root causes, either they won't reach there, or there is no guarantee that whatever they have found out is actually correct, right, their analysis was actually right. So certain important things which I want you to remember while working with this method are, the first thing is that multiple causes or factors. Okay, now whenever any event happens, okay, any XYZ event happens, so there can be multiple causes which, or multiple factors which might have led to happening of that event. In case there is a failure, they can be due to many factors, or if there is an error or non-conformity, that can be due to many factors. So first thing is that always find out which is the actual thing that actually led to it. Don't just assume. Okay, just give you a very simple example, it is very hypothetical. So in case your manager was supposed to meet with a very important client, and they had to give you a new project to your company, which was a big project, but you just receive a call from your manager, and he tells you that he was not able to attend to the meeting because his car stopped on the road. So now obviously the client was unhappy, the project is lost. So that those are other things, we can discuss them sometimes else, but here my focus, what I want to tell you is that now why his car stopped. So there can be multiple reasons that his car stopped. So first thing we need to find out, so there can be certain latent causes also, that why didn't he hire a taxi and just go, right. So those are also the things we are going to discuss, but the first thing is that the car stopped. Now what I want you to tell is that once you know that your car stopped, so that could stop due to multiple reasons. So it could be due to an accident, or due to engine failure, or due to a tire burst. So before you move to the second question, always first get the right answer for this one, that is why actually the car stopped. So one thing I want to tell you is that make a golden rule of your company, that in case there is an accident, there is an error, there is a non-conformity, always keep a proof of it. So choose an option for which you have a proof that why it stopped. If you do not have a proof, if it's not backed by the proof, then go in for an analysis, right. So in this case, I can easily figure out that okay, there was no accident, there was no tire burst, so it's just an example. So engine failure led to this car stopping on the road, right. So the second thing now I would like to tell you is that always use this method along with in collaboration with Y-trees. Now why Y-trees? So actually Y-trees just fanning out, or just branching out of all the factors that what might have led. For example, here I said car stopped, what I made is I made a tree, that is this can be due to these things. Now just when we say that this engine stopped, there was an engine failure, now this engine failure can also be due to many factors. So first thing I would like to tell you is that consider each event as independent and then branch out, but only branch out those options for which you are sure that this might have happened, because in case I just branch out an accident happened or a tire burst and an engine failure, so what would actually happen is I would get a big Y tree, but I won't know what I have to do with it. So basically it would be a chaos. So choose an option, only use a Y tree, or branch out for an option for which you are sure or which is backed by proof. For example, here I won't branch out for accident or tire burst, I will only branch out for an engine failure. Now what can lead to this engine failure? There can be many factors now, right. So basically it could be ignition failure, or it could be due to fuel supply failure, or or it could be due to water in the distributor. Or compression might be lost. Right. So basically when I say we branch out, so what we do is that we have all the factors or all the possible factors which could have led to this failure, and then we can choose the appropriate one, because otherwise if we do not branch out and if we simply answer that engine has failed maybe due to the fuel supply lost, right. So it cannot be that, it cannot be a true option or it could not be a right option, and then we need to, so this branching out would help us to just find out that okay, these are the options, and then we will use our proof, we will use our analysis to find out that what actually happened. So we would have all our preferences and we will choose the one which is backed by proof and which is backed by analysis. After white trees, the third important fact you need to just take care of while using this method is the use of AND gates. So now what are these AND gates? So there are certain events which only happen when 2 or 3 factors or causes come at right time at right place when they come together, otherwise that event won't happen, okay. For example, if you need fire, you would need oxygen supply, you would need fuel supply, and you would need ignition source, all 3 of them together, only then you can have fire. Same way there are many events or there are many errors which can only occur if there are 2 things or 2 factors coming in together, right. So if I have to give you an example over here for use of AND gates, and in case you do not use these AND gates and teams do not use these AND gates while making their analysis and using this method, so they can actually miss very important factors or important causes, and this can lead to their complete analysis going wrong. For example, if your car stopped due to engine failure and I would say that my analysis showed that this engine failure was due to water in distributor, right. So how now this AND gate is used? So if I say that engine failure was due to now if I say that this engine failure was due to water in distributor, right. So now how the AND gates are used? Now water in distributor can only be if these 2 happen together, that is there is a sealing of the distributor is compromised, right, plus there is water over the distributor. Now this is called an AND gate, right. So this factor, this event can only happen if these 2 come in together, that is the sealing is compromised. If the distributor is perfectly okay, even if there is water over the distributor, there would be no water in the distributor, and in case their sealing is compromised but there is no water over the distributor, then also there are no chances of having water in the distributor. So these 2 have to come together, only then this can happen, right. So this can be due to anything, that is sealing body is cracked, body of distributor is cracked, or sealing is faulty, and this can happen maybe you have hosed down the engine, or due to maybe you just have drove through a deep puddle of water. Right. So actually what I wanted to tell you is that this always take care and use AND gates in case your analysis shows that this factor can only happen when these 2 things are coming together. So this is what is known as AND gate. After AND gates, another thing I would like you to be careful of while using this method is identifying latent causes. Now, what are these latent causes? These are the hidden causes which are not very prominent. These can be the personal values or attitudes of your employees or any such things. For example, now when I said that my manager could not attend his meeting because his car stopped, and due to which I lost my project, I lost an important client. Now one thing which would have come to your mind is that why didn't he hire another cab or a taxi and went for his meeting? So now the reason for that was he did not had any money or card in his wallet. So his card might be empty, it's just an assumption, and he didn't had any money to hire a taxi in any form, right? So why didn't he had any money, right? Because he lost all money in some card game which he played with his friends last night, and due to which he woke up late, maybe he didn't have time to go to the ATM to get more money, and so at that particular moment he didn't had any money with him. So this means he bets all his money, and the second thing is that he does not know the game well, that's why he lost all his money. So what we come to know about this person is that he lives from day to day basis, and his attitude towards life is easy come and easy go. So basically what we can find out is that the latent cause, why all this happened, why the company lost an important project, why it didn't meet the client, was because of these latent causes, that is his personal values and attitudes towards life and work. And in case now if I want to just continue with him, because he was an important manager of my company, because he was handling important project and important client, and if I choose to continue with him, this means it was not one time error, because his total attitude towards life is something which is not a very good one or a very professional one. So these cases or these things or these accidents can happen again. So it's my choice whether I want to continue with such an employee or not. So basically whenever you are using this method, that is 5W2H method, so always take care of these multiple causes, use it along with why trees, use of AND gates, and identify the latent causes, because they are sometimes hidden and these don't just surface up, you have to find them out, because these are the actual or root causes of why an event or error actually happened, right? So what I want to tell you is that this is a very simple method. 5W2H method is a simple form of root cause analysis, but it's based on sure logic, real evidence, and great discipline. Because if you know anything is missing from all these three, you would have a wrong analysis, and if you have a wrong analysis, you would be only fixing wrong issues which won't actually help you. So first thing, make a rule that if error or an issue or a problem happens, keep a proof, and in case you do not have a proof, go in for an analysis, and that analysis should be in a very disciplined way. So here I am going to end up this lecture about this tool, that is 5W2H method. Hope I help you understand it in a better way. Thank you.